night, good night, good night, good night, St. Martin. Welcome to your favorite online internet program, www.sxmtalk.com. Of course, I'm your host, Christopher Emmanuel, and welcome to another interesting program for you guys here tonight. Call a friend, call someone, and tell them to log on now to www.sxmtalk.com. And last night's program, I promised to bring out some information concerning why the Member of Parliament, Romaine didn't pass the screening. And I don't know, but because of alternative advice, I am being told, don't release no information. And I'm saying to myself, I don't understand the reason why I shouldn't say why he didn't pass the screening or why it went down the way it went down. But I will release this much. I will say this much. Romaine did pass the screening. But there's a motive behind why he was not accepted. And we saw in the newspapers that legal expert, is advising him to challenge the governor's decision as to not signing the decree for him to become a minister because he is not charged with anything. Well, let me give Romaine some advice. It's not the governor you should be challenging. You should challenge within your own camp where you are right now. And I would elaborate on that on our next program. That is what you should do as to why you are not a minister today. And I want to say this to my friend who had sent out a message on the post one time when I was talking about the illegitimacy of the majority of 8. When I say the majority of 8 is illegitimate because they have 1,400 votes, which doesn't amount to a majority in terms of 2 ministers that was sent home with over 1,500 votes. And the response to that individual was, wait until Tia Heiliger get into parliament. I'm still waiting on him, my friend, to get into parliament. And let me tell you something. Let me remember I say this here, right? There's going to be some interesting developments happening very, very soon. Because they does always say, don't build a house on sand. When you build your house on sand, it's going to come crumbling down. Don't build your house on sand. But anyway, what I want to do tonight is give an explanation in terms of functioning of government, because I have a lot of people calling me or meeting me on the street. Let me explain to you what happened to me yesterday. I parked in the government parking lot yesterday, and normally as an employee, right? But it was Sunday, of course. So I went to the window to pay as normal. And I told the lady, I said, I'm a worker over at Parliament. Should I still pay? She said, yeah, you should still pay. As a matter of fact, you don't have a job anymore, so you don't work there anymore, so you have to pay now. So I turned and I asked her, I said, what do you mean we don't have a job anymore? She said, yeah, but the government fall, the government change, you out of government. And by saying that, by hearing that from the lady, I shook my head. Yes, I shook my head in astonishment. And I said, even up to this point, coming close to a term of 4 years, people on St. Martin still don't understand the difference and the functioning of our political system. The trias politicas, the 3 different branches of government. They still don't understand it. And I guess in all of this fracas that was going on over the past month and a half, I think it have left people even more confused. And I had to elaborate a bit to the young lady at the window and said, no, miss, I believe your information is incorrect. I work at Parliament for the National Alliance faction. The fracas was going on in the government at executive branch, where the ministers and the prime minister sit. Ministers were sent home, so we have a new government over in the executive branch. It has absolutely nothing to do with individuals being sent home from the branch of parliament. You know, and she was like, yeah, but what do you mean? They in government? And I said, yes, they are government. But government now is split up into 3 different branches, which is the executive branch. The executive branch is made up of the ministers, headed by the prime minister. We have 7 ministries. 7 ministries. We have the Ministry of General Affairs, which is headed by the prime minister. We have the Ministry of Finance, which is now headed by Mr. Hassink. We have the Ministry of Education, which is now headed by Patricia Lawrence. We have Education, Sports, Youth Affairs. All right. We have the Ministry of Health, which is now headed by Cornelius De Weaver. We have the Ministry of VROMI, which we would call Public Works, which is now headed by Maurice Lake. We have the Ministry of Justice, which is now headed by Dennis Richardson. And one more ministry, which we call the Ministry of TIAT, which is Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transportation, Aviation. All right, that's why it's called TIAT in abbreviation, which still a minister needs to be appointed to the post. 7 ministries we have over in the executive branch. That's where we call the government building, where we all know the government building. So the 7 ministries or the 7 ministers are located in that building, for the exception of the Minister of Justice, which his office is located there on the Longwall Road across, or next I would say, to Napa. That's the executive branch. That's the branch that had the fracas going on between the prime minister, the deputy prime minister, the majority in the council of ministers, where we see now the former minister, Roland Duncan, Sylvia Jacob, William Marlin, Romeo Pantaflet. Those individuals were sent home. Those individuals were sent home. But over in Parliament, the factions remain until the legislative term of next year, 2014, or if early elections is called, then you would probably or most likely see changes in the legislature. So what happens in reality when we are going to vote come 2014, or if we have new elections, we are voting for legislators, not ministers. We don't vote for ministers. We are voting for legislators, or we are voting for members to occupy the parliament. That's what we are voting for. So, yes, my person working for the National Alliance faction in parliament remains in that position regardless of what happened in the branch of the executive that executes the executive order. That's over the minister. So you see, it's 2 different things. And then you have the judicial branch, which is made up of the court, the lawyers, the police force, the Coast Guard. That's another branch. So we have 3 different branches of government. You know, and I would say it's only after sort of, not a lengthy explanation, but an in-depth explanation, she was like, okay. So then you would be representing Judge Pantaflet. And so I said, yes, now you got it. So I will be representing Judge Pantaflet, Hyacinth Richardson, Dr. Lloyd Richardson, Louis LaVeise, and also Rudolph Samuel. The 5 members of the National Alliance faction I would be representing. So you see, I had to explain to her, and she was like, okay, then say, at the end she said, so you still have a job. And it was so funny to me to see. But it's a serious thing when people don't understand the functioning of our government, because by not understanding, right, chaos ensues, and people can't make a conscious decision in terms of what is it I'm voting for, who am I voting for, and what goes on. And I would say, I would blame that partially on government and all governments at that, because we never took time to educate, to explain, and to bring information to the people in the simplest of terms, layman's term, as to what our new country is made up of and what it looks like. So then, I had a discussion with with some friends, and I mentioned it now. I see one of the individuals is slowly crawling out of his hibernation because of relations close to a minister. So they are slowly getting back on Facebook and starting to throw little subliminal things around the place. And it's interesting, it is good. But whether it's good or bad for me, or whether it's in favor or not in favor, Christopher is going to speak. And I'm not speaking on behalf, now and again, now yes, I throw my political bias and my political favoritism. But when fair is fair, I say it as it is. Whether it's good for me or it's bad for me, I'm going to keep speaking up for the people of St. Martin. I'm not going to choose a side because it benefits me or a family member in that position. And that's the reason why I said the revolving door of political hypocrisy continues in St. Martin amongst the next generation of politicians who is vying for political office, coming out with new organizations, coming out with new foundations, doing work in the community, yada, yada, yada. They are only doing that. Their only and sole motive is a political agenda. That's all it is, a political agenda. So the question is this: what happens when the political career starts? What happens to the foundation? Take it from me, it hits a back burner, because the interest of any foundation that starts up now, it's a political catapult for the individuals that's in the foundation. And I am saying, this is my opinion, right? You are taking the people of St. Martin for a ride. And this is why I'm asking St. Martin people to please, amidst the hardship that we are going through, see through all of these foundations and the motives of individuals and the reasons why they are doing what they're doing. And you need to look at the background of the individuals, where they came from. Try to put one and one together. Try to piece the puzzles together. Because when you really look at it, they are offshoots of existing political parties. That's what it is. That's what it is. So I'm not going to come here and call names and say, well, this is what it is and that's what it is. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt to prove me wrong. And I have a medium where I can speak, I can talk, I can literally say whatever I want to say. All right? We are still waiting for government legislations or restriction on the internet. There's none. They can't do me nothing here. All right? So I'm going to continue saying what I want to say here. So should we give the new government a chance? Of course we should. At the end of the day, they're our government. All the ministers are our ministers, whether we like it or not. They're our ministers. Should I be plotting or conceiving any sort of motion so the government could fall in 2-3 months? Yes, because I'm of the opposition. Do I believe that I can do a better job, or my team can do a better job? Of course. Were there anything wrong with the government before? I'm still waiting for someone to say yes, there were. Okay? Because I say you can look at each and every minister and see the political affiliations. You can see it. All right? But I am having a bigger issue with the role of the governor in St. Martin. And I think we need to start challenging that aspect of the crown. Because if you have the Dutch representative here in St. Martin across from the St. Rose Arcade upstairs of Benetton or wherever that place used to be, and then you have the Minister of Overseas Territory, Mr. Plastic, what do we need a governor for? What's the real role of a governor? Because how many spies are we going to have for the Dutch? How many informers are we going to have for the Dutch? So then he shouldn't be a governor no more. We should call him an informer. That's how we should look at the situation. All right? Do I believe that the governor did due diligence and things was done right? No. Do I believe that the governor picked sides? Yes. Is it rumor that the Prime Minister has something on the governor from the days when she was the commissioner over the airport and he was placed there? That is rumored, but what's the proof? What I can say though, St. Martin people, buckle up yourself. Buckle up yourself for a hot, long summer. A hot, long summer. I don't want to sit here and be Nostradamus and say that the government is going to last. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening at all. However, give them the benefit of the doubt and let me see how this is going to work. I would continue trying my utmost best to bring about new elections or early elections in this country because I believe the people of St. Martin deserves it. Another year with these same individuals is going to be a crying damnation here in St. Martin. Why? Because they are gangsters. Gangsters. When you hear the son of the Prime Minister is to collect $2 million from a Justice Park deal, we need to question these sort of things. Question it. We sit down and we pamper with the Prime Minister because, and then you hear a ridiculous statement, oh, she's a woman. So what? So what? We're not looking at the gender of the Prime Minister. We are looking at the office. Is it true, Madam Prime Minister, that your son is to collect $2 million from the Justice Park deal? Now, I have always said that spouses and children are off limit, but they have put themselves in the midst. And I'm telling you guys, the reason why I can sit here and say that $2 million deal is being offered to one individual in the Justice Park deal is because of information I have received. And there's no secret. The former Minister of Justice spoke about it. But I'm gathering and I'm piling up this evidence. You know why? Because I want to shove it in the face of my good friend over in Sabre, Dave Livingston. Since he said the Prime Minister is speaking his kind of language, I want to ask him about this. I want to ask him about this. Because he's tongue lashing the government in Sabre right now. So I want to ask him what's his opinion. What do you think about these things? He mentioned the government that left was a Bisankit government. Now we have a paper glue government. So many wrongs and our double standards and our hypocritical ways is as if the Prime Minister spit in the mouth of you individuals. So I can't even hark back up the coal. In my books, it's called nastiness. In my books, it's called nastiness. You see? So like I said, I'm compiling this information because I believe you guys need to know about it. You need to hear about it because it's simply unjust. All right, simply unjust. I'm trying to find smart and intellectual people on the island because whenever I put up on some folks who I always say, guys, we went to college. We went to college. They just turn and they look at you and say, the bridge is a good idea for the country. Alston said in one of his postings, it's going to be an icon. People would leave from where they want to leave to come and see it. And I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness. These are guys that went to school, but it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Let me explain to you why it's not their fault. Malcolm X said it's hard to tell the black man the truth. He will think that you're talking stupidness or you're crazy. So you have to give him a bit, piece by piece by piece, until he come to the realization and the understanding that what you're saying makes sense. And we have the same sort of poisoning here in this country. We are poisoned up here in our brain. We are poisoned. All right? We are still like poach monkeys. We are still like the field slave and the house slave. We still have the slave sort of mentality, the slave sort of thinking that everything white is good and what is black is bad. It is still ingrained in us. You see? So after 400 years, we are still here teaching our brothers and sisters that you simply can't equate descent with loyalty. You can't do it. And we are building a country that we want to be good and the best for the next generation. But I am saying this revolving door of hypocrisy is tearing this country apart. The Prime Minister mentioned in the governing accord that they're going to lessen the bureaucracy. Well, Prime Minister, you need to start getting rid of some of those department heads that you have placed there, like down in the Labor Department. Start there first. That will be the first place to tackle and challenge bureaucracy. The Labor Department. Start there first. And integrity. I know what it means. I went in my Chambers dictionary to seriously get a concise meaning of the word integrity. Because I don't think that any government that our good Prime Minister is part of has any sense of integrity at all. Even the last government. Because we have seen the nastiness that have played out. And I had a heated discussion with a friend of mine, but from the opposing side. Okay? When he said that there's winners and there's losers and we are losers. I said, yes, we may have lost the battle, but the war is still there to be won. I said, so as much as we may be losers, but you guys are cheaters. And cheaters never win. It may seem as if they're winning. It may be a temporary win, but you're a cheater because the Prime Minister hid a letter. And then people are saying, but she did nothing illegal. It has nothing to do with what is illegal. It has to do with what is right and wrong, what is ethical and what is not ethical. And the Prime Minister was unethical. She was wrong. And she cheated to win. And if that is the kind of victory that you guys want, go ahead. Hold it. Time will tell. So I would reverse again and say this to St. Martin people. Keep your heads up. We haven't heard the end of this saga as yet. As a matter of fact, the story continues. Take care of yourself, St. Martin people. God bless you guys. See you all back here on Wednesday, God spare. Take care. Goodbye. God bless you.
There was a time when people dare not utter a word. There was a time when people were in the dark and searching for accurate information. Just when all hope is lost and frustration hangs in the balance, Sxmtalk emerges and broke the silence. Join host Christopher Emmanuel for live and serious discussions and hard talk.